Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another NerdTube Trekkie topic discussion. I am joined by my cohort of Trekkies, starting off with scientist Zam. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Doing good. Chief Tactical Officer Major Rage. How you doing? You're tactical because you have rage in your name.
Oh yeah, I've got to be tactical. I'm doing great, proud to be here. Excited to talk about the bittersweet news about Discovery.
It is. It is the end. It is the end of the flagship show of the new Trek era. That doesn't mean Trek's done, but with the announcement of Alex Kurtzman and I don't know the other person who said it, basically saying that Star Trek Discovery will come to an end at the end of season 5. So the internet's kind of a buzz. Like some people are like, I didn't know this wasn't canceled already. Other people saying that they are very sad and distraught. Some people, I've even seen one person online say that they think it is a target against diversity. I don't know. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on that are, but it's going to go from one side of the room all the way over to the other. So let's start off with Zam. What do you think about this news?
Um, it's more bitter than sweet. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a shock to the system because once you realize they're doing a season 5, you think to yourself, they're going to do 7 seasons of this, surely. But no, it's come to an abrupt halt, and I think what upsets me the most is we're in this new time period, and I want to see more of this time period. I want to explore more of this era, this new era in Star Trek. You talk about next generation. This is next generation of generation of generation of generation. It is so far ahead in the timeline that it is almost practically unheard of to think that we would go this far. And I
As a
want to see
species,
as much of
probably we will probably destroy ourselves before then.
yeah.
Long before.
So I'm hoping that if we do get new Star Trek shows, that we get more of this era. It would be, I'm fascinated by this era now. Like, I also feel like there's a Star Trek rebuild. Like, after the resolution of the burn, and Starfleet reestablishing itself in the galaxy. I'm very much wanting to see more of that, and so I feel like it's kind of come to an abrupt halt, so to speak. It feels a bit premature that Discovery has gone, has been cancelled. And as you said earlier, this show was the flagship show of this new generation of Star Trek we're getting. It started off with this, with the Kelvin timeline being not for necessarily fulfilling what maybe the creators had when it came to that film series. This was the next shot they went with, and it's sad that the flagship show is coming to an end.
Major Rage, host of the year. How do you feel about this?
I have mixed emotions about the end of Discovery. I'm with Zam as far as I was really enjoying this new setting. I'm very curious about it, but I also feel like they don't want to shoehorn themselves in by setting up so much of the lore for that time period with a show that started out as a prequel. Um, I also think that Discovery's been getting steadily better since season 1, especially the past 2 seasons. So going out on a high note instead of having 7 seasons and then the last 2 seasons not being very good, I'm looking at you, TNG. Uh, you know, it's probably better to go ahead and go out on the high note and not drag it out when they're running out of things to do with the show and running out of character arcs for the characters.
Before you chime in, I can also add that I think maybe the writers as well are finding it very hard to do a 13 story, all encompassing story. If you know what I mean, yes, certain things might require them to do the odd filler episode here and there, but everything usually is about this one massive thing that's happening. With Discovery, it's not like doing the episode of the week formula, which is what Strange New Worlds is doing, and maybe they're just coming up with, especially after what happened last season with this humongous alien species that is basically plowing through the galaxy. I think we were calling it a lawnmower in space. Yeah, I mean, just turning everything up. It's like, so
How do you escalate
top
the
that?
threat? Yeah, how do you
exactly.
escalate the threat?
Well,
Would-
and
Yeah.
go ahead, Sam. Sorry, I didn't know you weren't done.
No, that's it. Just it sucked from day one.
So just to
Rick B said,
Rick B said it sucked from day one. It may have sucked day one, but it definitely has not sucked the past 2 years. I will agree. Discovery had a rough start, season 1, season 2. I mean, really, the only good thing about season 2 was Pike. Pike, Spock. I honestly like the Red Angel stuff. I couldn't have cared less about. But the overall story was not good. But there were some definite gems in season 2. Season 3, I thought, was a marked improvement. Season 4, I thought was right along the same lines as 3, if not better. I know Zam disagrees with me. I think he thinks that season 4 took a step back. I still think season 3 or 4 was just as good, if not maybe a tad better. But here's my thing: is that I think in season 4, I think they did miss an opportunity where we could have explored. I think last season would have made a great final season. That would have made a great season 5, season 7, however long it went. I feel like last season should have been them exploring, and like Zam said, he wants to see more of this the 32nd century. I really feel like it was, I wanted it to them to go around and see what the Ferengi of that era are up to, the Klingons. I don't care. Like, what are the Tribbles up to of that era? What is going on in that era? And if they did kind of do like an adventure of the week, but still the overarching arc was getting dilithium back out there. Discovery was delivering dilithium to these races as an errand of mercy, and saying, look, we're giving you this dilithium, but we want to open negotiations with you about the Federation again. The Bolians, the Benzar, like whatever races are not in the Federation anymore, and even delivering them to the Federation, because the Federation has been fractured because there's no warp drive. So it's like, it's so distant between the Federation. It's like, yeah, they may still be a part of the Federation, but who knows if they're even who knows what's going on those worlds. And that's what I feel like they missed the opportunity with last season, to go back to more of an episodic arc, but still keep it overarching. We're delivering dilithium to the place of the week. And I felt like that would have been a nice compromise. And, they would have to fight off like pirates trying to steal the dilithium again, people that aren't a part of the Federation or criminals, and they're still trying to take, the dilithium from them.
They could have gone for the episode of the week format, in my opinion, as well, but in the 32nd century.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, as I said, but we're also visiting familiar faces within different eras. So, but yeah, so I really feel like they missed the trick. Another thing that they've also talked about is I don't think we're leaving the 32nd century after Discovery is over. They have talked about doing the Starfleet Academy show. Unfortunately, I wanted it to take place in the TNG era post Nemesis. Unfortunately, I think they are doing it in the 32nd century. And honestly, I wouldn't mind if we did like spinoff shows, like like Zam's watching right now, the Yellowstone verse. I wouldn't mind if we had a Starfleet Academy 31 or 3100 or whatever, and then we also had a Starfleet Academy 2500, however they would title it, because like you're watching what is it, Yellowstone or 19.
I'm watching 8. I just finished watching 1920. I'm up to date with the entire main Yellowstone story, all 5 seasons, and I just finished watching 1923, and I'm 3 episodes in on 1883. And yeah, it's just great. And it concerns me a little bit that maybe Paramount wants to put more of their money in their budget in Yellowstone and that universe, which is being created right now, and maybe Tulsa King and all the other stuff. I mean, and maybe less into Star Trek. Who knows? Because Star Trek costs way more money than those shows when it comes to settings and special. I mean, they're like those shows are period dramas, and then they don't require special effects. Maybe just sets and stuff like that. Whilst Star Trek is a whole different ball game. I mean, you can have it. It's all set in Montana, Yellowstone, pretty much. So yeah, it's
so we
too
got
broken in the writing department.
Go ahead, Sam.
It had no hope. You have terrible dialogue being delivered by unlikable characters, it could be the worst show ever made. No, I mean,
I mean, I'm sorry. Like, by the way, welcome. I'm sorry we're disagreeing with you right out the gate, but honestly, I totally disagree. I'm not saying the show is stellar. I'm not even saying it's remotely the best Trek. You know, like it's just it brought us back to the table of being content. You know, for Star Trek. We got this ginger slut right here talking. Just like Star Wars, they're adamant about sticking the Picard Kirk era. Fucking yawn. Well. And I do agree with you, but that's why I'm saying post Nemesis. Like that's why I want Starfleet Academy post Nemesis after, you know, I don't want it to go back to the TOS era. But what I was getting to is that, like, you know, like what Zan was talking about the Yellowstone verse. It's like, you know, like have that you know, you have how many NCISs, CSIs, all these other. It's like have a Starfleet Academy, 31st century, Starfleet Academy, 25th century, Starfleet Academy, 22nd century or something like that. You know, like you can have those, and you know, the kind of, you know, and Starfleet Academy is just, it's always been a show that's always been out there, and I always wanted it. But right now they're talking about doing the one in the 32nd century, so, or 31st century, wherever they are. They're in the fucking future. Who knows?
So would they get Mary Wiseman back for that? Because that's where they sent Tilly.
Maybe
the Academy.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that is the spinoff show. I think they're also still talking about a spinoff show for Michelle Yeoh, technically, which would be section 31, but it would not take place in the 31st century. But I feel like as TNG came to a close, and yes, it's not 7 seasons, but we are kind of locked in this 7-season run thought process as Trek fans. You know, like we always want that 7 seasons. That's the golden number. But again, with shows nowadays, I mean, yeah, it really
takes 2 to 3 years between a season. Like, you know, it doesn't before, like there was a season every year.
There's a season every year with Discovery. This is the longest wait we've had between Discovery.
But it doesn't feel like it's coming out at the same time every year, if you know what I mean. Like sometimes it feels like it's coming at the beginning of the year, sometimes it's coming in the middle of the year, sometimes it's coming at the end of the year. It's not, you know, like the shows are not consistent like they once were. I want to get to Rick B, by the way, because Rick B, I'm one of the few people who is in Alex Kurtzman's corner. Now, don't get me wrong. I initially thought, what the hell's going on here with this dude? He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's bringing up all this shit, and he's going maybe, you know, like he's like ruining some of the lore and some of the canon and all of that. But, and you know, I thought to myself, this guy's the Kathleen Kennedy of fucking Star Trek. But I have to say, in recently with what we've been getting, I think he's redeemed himself. I think Star Trek, I think Picard season 3, yes, it's Kirk and Riker yawn, all of that, but still, it's been a good nostalgia trip. Picard season 3, yeah, you know, it's been.
No, you said Kirk and Riker. I'm like, ooh, there's a show there.
Sorry, my bad.
They just shag the universe in a paddy wagon.
It's Star Trek STD.
Even though I'm not necessarily well, that's what Disco is. But even though I'm not necessarily the format of an overarching story for Disco, still I think the latter seasons have been a far improvement. Strange New Worlds has been phenomenal. Everyone loves Lower Decks. Even was it Prodigy? Maybe not necessarily my cup of tea to a degree, but it's trying to bring kids into Star Trek as well, and I can't you know argue with them for that. Maybe it's not necessarily for me, but it's good on them that they're trying to go down that route. And you see with Picard as well, with the Dominion War aspect of it as well. I mean, they really are using that lore really well. So it has nothing to do with the season 3 of Picard. That's why it's better, is it? I mean, he's one of the executive producers, dude.
I mean, he's basically in charge of all of Trek. Like, I mean, maybe he's
Kevin Feigeing it, man.
Yeah, like, I mean, and I'm gonna agree with Zam. Like, it, as I said, Kurtzman is not the best for Trek. I mean, I really don't think so. But at the same, I mean, I think Jonathan Frakes. If they put Jonathan Frakes at the helm of all of Trek, I feel like that would be the best move they could do. However, I mean, Kurtzman is, as I said, and yeah, he's made some missteps. He's made some stuff, but I mean, look, you can't. He was involved in Strange New Worlds, phenomenal. Lower Decks. But I mean, when in the universe did we ever think we would get another Star Trek animated series that would be good? You know, like before Lower Decks, we never thought that would have been a thing.
And just to add to that, like TNG first couple of seasons weren't that great. Same with DS9, same with Voyager to a degree. It does take a show, a couple of seasons to to get rid of the cobwebs, to really find its feet, to truly know what sort of show it is. I mean, the only shows that become really good from the get-go, I would say, is Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds. But Strange New Worlds had the advantage of already having established characters through Discovery. So I think we need to cut the guy some slack. It could be so much worse. It really could. And if anything, it's not that bad. I'm enjoying it. They're taking Star Trek to another level, and they're swearing a bit more as well, which I don't mind too. Even though it doesn't necessarily make sense. But then I have spoken about what's her face from Star Trek 4 having an influence on society when she got sent back to the future. He was busy working on Man Who Fell to Earth and season 3, and was left to Terry Matalas to do whatever he wanted. Well, like I said, he's still an executive producer, I believe. And we are talking several Star Trek shows. I think it'll be very hard for him to split himself up to be involved in everything at the same time.
I mean, yeah, he's an executive producer on Picard season 3. So, I mean, granted, but that's like saying Kevin Feige's involved in every single Marvel movie. He's not he's not into the intricacies of every single season. And you're right, season 3 of Picard might be better because Kurtzman maybe was off doing something else. But as I said, I don't think he garners the hate that people give him. Basically, what Trekkies wants is we want a Trek fan in the driver's seat, and that's fine. I'm all for that. As I said, Jonathan Frakes is a big Trek fan. Put him in the driver's seat. But for right now, we have Kurtzman, and honestly, I've seen marked improvements in all the product. I think what happened is coming out of the gate, they were trying to, just like Star Trek 2009, they were trying to make it too accessible to too many people instead of staying true to the original context of Star Trek. And they were like, about 2 seasons in of Discovery, they're like, oh shit, now we're alienating our normal fan base. So they course corrected season 3. They did a huge course correct, and then they also went from and I mean also as Zam said, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, even Prodigy. Although it's really not my cup of tea. It's still true to Trek form. Like there's a lot of things in there that's still very Trek about it. I have never ever, although I am not a fan of Prodigy.
Even Lower Decks is very Trek.
Yeah. Oh, it's very Trek, but it's a totally different animal. But Zam, have I ever said that Prodigy is not Trek? Like I've never said that Prodigy is not.
It's just
Trek.
Not for you.
It's just not for me. But I've never said that this is not Star Trek.
And also, sorry if I'm interrupting you guys,
That's
but
okay.
also look at the smorgasbord of Star Trek we're getting. I mean, we've never got so many shows, various shows, pretty much all at the same time. Usually it's a baton pass, after TNG was DS9, then it was Voyager, and then it was
Voyager and DS9 ran at the same time, but
no, I mean, but
almost
DS9. No, but it is like DS9. It still introduced Voyager, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and So and then after that it was Enterprise. I mean, we've had we've had one show after, but now we've got all these different shows at the same time, and it's brilliant. There's no respite really. Like we went,
we went what 40 some weeks, I think it was, with straight Trek.
A variety of straight Trek as well,
So okay, anyway, so let's try to jump back on topic. So with what I was going to say about Discovery is, for me, it is also a little bit bittersweet. It has been getting better, but I see the issues. On top of that, there are some production issues from behind the scenes. It's a very expensive show. Paramount is in the middle of a merger with Showtime, I believe it is. So this is kind of like, the whole thing with like the WB and Discovery. It's like they're kind of trying to trim the fat so that, there's a, and like with the CW, like there's a lot of trimming of the fat here, and Discovery is by far probably the most expensive show. So I mean, one of the big things is just that we have to be open to what they're going to do next. Oh, here we go. Okay. Well, Rick B. Are you supposed to be Rick Berman? Is that what this is a rip on? Is that why? I like season 3 of Picard. All the other shows, including Strange New Worlds, are crap, like CW Star Trek. The wrong man is in charge. Quality does not equal quantity. And no, you are incorrect, sir. You can have your opinion. I'm not saying that you are wrong for having your opinion. Strange New Worlds is high quality. It is been widely accepted that Strange New Worlds is a fantastic Star Trek show. So you can't even say, I mean, if you have your opinion and you think it sucks, that's fine. Great. Fine. But most people say Strange New Worlds is a phenomenal show. Lower Decks is widely accepted as a phenomenal show. So if you want to be in the minority, that's fine. Like I'm in the minority. I hate Thor Ragnarok. I'm in the minority and I'm okay with that. So if you want to be in the minority about stuff like that, that's fine. But no, I mean, Strange New Worlds is not crap. It is generally widely accepted that it is probably some of the best Trek out there right now. And just like the Orville season 3 is some of the best Trek out there. Is it Trek? No, but it's some of the best Trek out there. It's widely accepted. Yeah. So, and that's fine. If you have your opinion that you think they suck, fantastic. I am really sorry that Star Trek has failed to deliver for you. Okay, but that's all I can say about that. So anyway, I don't know where we were leaving off. Mage, I feel like I should ask you a question because me and Zam have been talking a lot. What do you want next for Trek in regards to Discovery characters, Discovery timeline, like the 31st century? What do you want?
I mean, I'd like to see a story of the week series set in the 32nd century. Something that's, it's modern television. There's going to be some sort of overarching, arch for the season. But, find that way to do it like Strange New Worlds does, where it's the lion's share of the plot in each episode is a story of the week, like we're used to. And I think, Strange New Worlds has found a really nice balance with that. And so take that formula and apply it to the new setting and do the things Zam was talking about, and, really explore and see what all these characters, in different, cultures are up to now. How did the burn affect the Klingons? That's a really, good question. That would be fun to see played out. I like, the Starfleet Academy show could be good. I'd like to see more Mary Wiseman. I'm absolutely in love with her. Not the character of Tilly and her Heart of Flutter, but that's that's all I've got.
Just to add to what you're saying is like once we got into that time period, some of our more familiar alien races, we really didn't get to know much about them. Yes, we got to see more maybe the less familiar ones like the Orions and the Andorians, but what about the Klingons and what about the Cardassians? What about the Romulans? I think only the Vulcans and actually with Vulcans and Romulans, we've got a big portion of them because they obviously with the planet of Navarre and all of that. But the Klingons, they are without doubt they're right up there with the Vulcans as like established Star Trek alien characters, and we got fuck all from them in Disco in the future. That is, they gave us abundance in season 1, so it'd be nice to see them in that period. Just see, what our more familiar races are up to. I mean, have they changed and so on? The Ferengi, we were teased with the Ferengi in the trailers, but we got fuck all from them. There's a Ferengi captain. I'm so curious to see how he operates. But nothing. So
yeah, I want to see more of these other ships, like the USS Nog, the USS Voyager J. Like it would be nice to have interactions with these ships, like not actually having a show based on them, but like this episode of the week, like TNG had those episodes where they're flying alongside another ship and they have something going on a plane, have that kind of stuff. Rick Berman. I'm just gonna start calling you Rick Berman. Sorry. Rick Berman says Strange New Worlds is the Vegas version of Star Trek, like a fake imitation. I think Paramount is going to cut streaming budgets. Star Trek is going to get cut because there are not enough people watching. I don't know, but I don't know the actual numbers. But go ahead.
It has to be awful to be that pessimistic all the time.
It's okay. We call them Ginger Greeks, is what we call them. So
Gotcha.
Ginger Greek. For any of you who are watching who are not familiar with Ginger Greek, is a person on this channel. We rib on him a lot. Star Trek will be another Kurtzman failure on a long list of failures. You have to acknowledge that he's a very poor track record when it comes to quality film and TV. Well, so does Rick Berman. So I mean, basically Star Trek died under his watch too. So
You know what concerns me as well, though, is legacy. Like, there are so many characters who that they've left a lasting legacy, so to speak, in Star Trek. But if we don't get anything that continues after 1 second.
So yeah, so the whole, I mean, the whole Kurtzman legacy thing. I mean, as I said, if this new Trek is not your Trek, that's fine. Like, just don't watch it.
Can I just finish off what I was monologuing before I was disturbed? I'm just saying that, in a way regarding with Burnham, like, she's not leaving necessarily a legacy for people in the past because she's set in the future, if you know what I mean. So unless we get more future stuff where people will know about her legacy, then she's never going to be referenced to in future Star Trek, which is a bit of a shame if they don't continue stuff in the 32nd century.
Also, I wonder if this guy is actually Rick Berman, and that's why he's so salty, because he doesn't want to stop praising Alex Kurtzman when Berman's not involved.
Yeah, that's it. We've got our most
nailed
high profile viewer ever, most high profile chat participant. Thank you for coming.
I mean,
thank you for coming, Rick Berman.
No, but Rick, like, I mean, maybe sometimes what we're getting is not necessarily our cup of tea. I mean, we're getting a lot. We're big Star Wars fans here, and some of the stuff we've been getting from Disney is not necessarily palatable. Like, we've complained about a lot of shows, but we still watch it because we're fucking fans. And you're not switching yourself off from these shows. You want things to improve. You want them to get our feedback. I do feel that they are getting feedback from us, which is why things have improved. I mean, you can't say they haven't. They've gotten a lot better. So they just keep the faith, man. I mean, we can get a Section 31 show. Isn't that going to be so cool? I mean, that's our original Michelle Yeoh leading that. Yeah, well, Ginger Greek is one of the original trolls. So,
Ginger Greek says he's Captain Hital. So, okay, so
Rick Berman made multiple TV shows and movies that people still watch today. I think we'll all want Star Trek to be better, but we have to face the obvious facts.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm very sad that you are upset. I'm gonna move on. I'm sorry. I can't, like, the negative trollness is just like, I'm glad you're here, but it's like we're talking about Star Trek, so tell us what you want. You know what I mean? Like, you want to sit here and hate on Alex Kurtzman, you want to sit here and hate on New Trek. Tell us how you would fix it. Yeah,
Star Trek is far more progressive now as well. Like, you go back to TNG era, even up to Voyager and stuff like that. You know how fucking sexist those shows were, making all their women like wearing skin tight outfits and stuff. And yeah, that's like the way the women were portrayed in those shows. Wearing like body hugging outfits so they could show off their curves. Even T'Pol as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, these were gorgeous women, but now, like, someone like Jerry Ryan, she's still a gorgeous woman, but she doesn't have to.
She's in a freaking Starfleet uniform now.
Yeah, she's in a Starfleet uniform now,
which is what I always wanted for her. Like, look at
a credible character. She's a credible character.
Yeah, Jadzia Dax was always like, I'm sorry, Keira Nerys, like, the actress is great, but it's like, I love Jadzia Dax so much, and she was like, and I thought she was gorgeous, and she was in a Starfleet uniform. I didn't need a cat suit in order to find somebody like attractive. You know what I mean? So it's like, these are awesome characters. And DS9, as I said, DS9 is one of my favorite Treks of all time. So, what is my favorite Trek of all time? But it's just like, Zam's right. Like, they were just as sexist back then, and in the 60s, like, they were they were doing sex sells. I feel like they're doing that less now. Believe it or not, in this day and age, they're doing less sex sells and more, hey, let's tell a decent story.
I mean,
exactly.
There are so many troublesome episodes of, like, any '90s Trek, there's so many episodes with like where Berman
The
has
black
a
people.
female character get basically sexually assaulted. And there's almost one every season on TNG where something like that happens to Deanna, where she's violated her mind or something. And it's just disturbing that Berman
Mate,
kept wanting to go there.
right up to Nemesis, dude. You know what I mean? You know, she got mind raped in Nemesis by fucking Ron Perlman. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I love Ginger Grease. Change the title stream. Rick Berman raids Star Trek and hates Kirk.
That'll get tons of views.
And then
no,
we already talked
he
about
said-
the merger, and he said there's nothing wrong with sexy outfits. So again, I think we know where this is going. So you do
Yeah.
sound a little bit more like Rick Berman, Brandon Braga.
Well,
this guy.
even though, what was it? Is it the character Jazzy that sometimes she did obviously show off how gorgeous she looked in certain episodes of DS9, but it was used very sparingly. They're all, the male actors and the female actors are all very beautiful people, and now again they're allowed to portray it, but don't
We don't need it on our
because,
screen for us to tune in.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm watching this show because it's good storyline content. I don't need to be. I don't need the titulation. I want to see green bitches banging a Ferengi.
Yeah, I already put that up there. Hey, and nowadays it's even better because it's like nowadays you don't even have to do much to get that. All you have to do is instead of typing in Paramount Plus, you just type in Pornhub, and then you got your sexy bitches the banging
Download the
Ferengi.
wrong Star Trek.
Yeah, but it's like you don't need that in your media anymore.
One some like part of that fandom menace ilk. They had an issue with Disco because it only had one white male character in the main cast, which was Stamets, and he was gay. So all of a sudden, all these people who have constantly been represented in everything and anything are now pissed off that there's no white straight male character in Disco, so they feel like they're left out. Look at me. How many fucking people like me are in fucking Western television? Hardly. You know what I mean? Abu is probably the most famous person in fucking Western television, and he's a fucking cartoon character, for fuck's sake, on The Simpsons. So yeah, just hold your fucking horses. Those people out there who worry about representation, because you're always fucking represented, and there's more people in this world than just you motherfuckers. So
hey, I resemble that remark. No, but seriously, but it's very nice because there was a lot of representation on Discovery, and I mean, I enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, if I will shit on Discovery for one thing, and we've all talked about this before, is the fact that they don't put enough focus on the subsidiary characters. They they focus too much on Michael Burnham. I have no problem with a black woman captain, but the problem is that she's constantly involved in everything that she didn't need to be. Now, one thing I will give Rick Berman here credit is that yes, back in TNG, DS9, that other show that I don't want to talk about, Enterprise, you would get episodes where you have the subordinate characters who have their own episode. I mean, how many times did Harry Kim have a romantic angle with either a hologram or an alien or something? I mean, so we didn't get anything like that in this. And it was even hard. Even after 4 seasons, it was hard for me to remember a lot of this.
Actually, if you don't mind me saying, the best episode, of one of my favorite episodes of Disco was the episode where Michael Burnham wasn't in it. It was I think it was like the second or third episode of season 3 where we're following Tilly and Saru.
That was the second episode, yeah, because the first episode was all about Burnham.
Yeah, the great episode, because we finally got to see some of the other characters.
And that would be one of the things but we were kind of seeing that going a little bit more like they were starting to lean on more of the subsequent characters. I don't know what word I'm supposed to use there. Subsequent, subordinate, whatever you want to call it.
Secondary cast.
Secondary cast. There you go. Anyway, but Ginger.
I'm going to get to Ginger in a second, but who doesn't like sex and sexy people? Well, for a start, we don't need sex because it's not that type of show. And sexy people,
Pornhub.
I can never get a name. Sonique, something green, is fucking gorgeous.
Green?
You know what I mean? She, the actress who plays Michael Burnham is beautiful as hell. So we've already got somebody who's very pretty. We don't need her to be fucking bent, doing, bending over the fucking counter all the time, giving us arse shots. That's not what we're watching for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this isn't Voyager.
Like, even come on, I mean, you're making this argument regarding the storyline, then you're fawning over sex appeal all the time. I mean, it almost feels like you're trolling now. Ginger Greek. I mean, the chances of white people being around in 300 years is not likely more.
So true.
Oh, don't worry.
Right?
Don't worry. You'll always be around. You know what I mean?
Nah.
Mass genocide is what you guys do best. So, yeah, don't worry about that.
Get the fuck out of here, dude. Hey, I'm brown, grew up in the 80s, didn't care that He-Man, Batman, people of Star Trek didn't have the same melanin level as me. Not everyone needs to be represented all the time. And I agree that not everybody needs to be represented all the time, but it's nice to see the fact that like Star Trek has always been known for having representation. And now, like back in the 60s, it was cultural representation. In the 80s and 90s, it was like sexual representation, or not sexual, ethnic representation. Nowadays, it's more orientation representation. Like what is your orientation? I mean, you have a trans person, you have a gay couple, you have that different eras of Star Trek have different kinds of representation that are usually ahead of the curve. Like, I mean, we are just now starting to see, to the detriment of CW, they actually had a lot of representation, almost annoyingly so, in a lot of their stuff. But you can't doubt, you can't knock them for they had tons of representation in their shows. Star Trek has the same thing. It just depends on the era. So I don't know. Anyway, can we get back on topic of Discovery?
We're still on topic on this, but like for instance, the latest episode of Quantum Leap was set in an Indian restaurant about Indian food, and when I was reviewing that episode, it felt so great that I could talk about a particular subject matter and a particular culture that I'm very familiar with. And that felt fantastic as well. So when I was expressing myself and explaining certain things to certain people who are not the same culture as me, they got a better chance of understanding. This is good. I mean, we are in a world where not everyone's white, dude. Even if Batman and He-Man, he's tanned, by the way. I mean, Adam's white. I'm not sure about He-Man, but nevertheless, there are various people in this world. And when it comes to new stuff, it's good that all these various people in this world have a chance to be shown on our screens, and it's not the same old fucking cookie cutter vanilla fucking bullshit.
Okay, but here, you're checkboxing. You're describing checkbox casting. One brown, one black, one disabled woman, one Chinese child. Like, but that's what Trek is like. You can't say that. The Trek you're defending is always done that. Always.
Yeah.
The TOS, TNG, Voyager, even DS9, they've all done that. There's check boxes on everything. And you know what? It's okay, because if you want to equally represent on a show, that is okay. I mean, if you want an all Vulcan show, then maybe you should move for to be on the Vulcan ship in DS9. Like,
why are people like so hung up over this as well? Why does everyone want everything to be so vanilla all the time? I mean, do you want just everyone on every show just to be white people, including the fucking aliens? It's good to see black Romulans. You know what I mean? It's good to see those sort of different races of people who are also aliens, who we usually see as white people, like the Vulcans. Tuvok being a black Vulcan, no one gave a fuck. No one gave a fuck. But if Tuvok was the first black Vulcan today, everyone, including you, Rick B, would give a fuck about it. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all that people be crazy about shit like that. And you can't satisfy people. If you're race swapping, people have a problem with that. And if you're not race swapping and you're introducing new characters who are of a different race and culture, people have a problem with that. There's no fucking winning. You know what I mean? It's like we can't keep everyone happy. We should make new brown and black characters. Yeah, but you say that, and then you have an issue with fucking ticking off boxes. I mean,
exactly. You have a problem with Discovery, but you've got a new character that's a black captain. You've got a new character that's gay. You got a new okay. So what do you want? You just want go to your Paramount account, go to TNG or TOS, go to season 1, episode 1, and hit play, because that's what you want. You want the old stuff.
As I said earlier, Discovery was a brand new show, brand new characters, and people had a problem. Certain people, you know which ones they are, had a problem with it. There was no white straight male character. So even when you do these new characters, people still have a fucking problem with it. You can't keep these wankers happy.
No.
And Ginger, I love it. I love it. Keep saying this. Keep saying it, mate. Yeah. I'm drilling a hole in my wall right now, Ginger.
It's like Captain Georgiou said, or don't be so binary.
Yeah, the older shows just did it. They didn't make the social identity the focal point. No, mate, no. The older shows don't make the identity a focal point, because no one gave a fuck. People give a fuck now that that the next generation, no pun intended, of people are on these shows, and they're making, and then people like yourself, no offense, are making it a focal point. It shouldn't have to be. No one goes on. Sonique Martin Green, or what the fuck her name is, never goes on about being a black woman in disco. Not once. Not once. You know what I mean? You know who went on about being a black man in Star Trek, and that was Cisco. He mentioned it a couple of times regarding historical things. No one gave a fuck. No one gave a fuck. You know what I mean? And Ginger, yeah, mate, you tell him. Rick, does that mean you hate all Trek because TNG had a blind black guy? Yeah, or the cast of TOS. Yeah, like when Kirk kissed Uhura, which is not the first interracial kiss, by the way, because William Shatner kissed an Asian woman in the show previous to Star Trek, which was officially the first interracial kiss. But I guess it's the first interracial kiss in color. I mean, that broke all grounds.
And on top of that, the studio executives didn't want it. It had to have been some kind of extraneous circumstance, like Kirk was forced to kiss her. Even though I don't like William Shatner much at all, but honestly, he said he had no problem with it. Like, he's like, no, he didn't have a problem with it. It's just,
And they brought up social issues with those black and white people, half black, half white, but they had different sides of them, black and white, and that was a social issue. They've been doing this for a long time. And it's regarding the day then. Well, it matters. They are somebody with a symbiote inside them, so they're more than one person now. So it makes sense. It totally makes sense. You how can this go over your head? That makes more sense than anything.
I mean, Rick Berman is probably pretty old at this point. Maybe he's got dementia. I don't know. I mean, all right. So, I don't know. Mage, are you having a dip here pretty soon? Or
I do. Yeah, I've got to get ready for that teledoc appointment, so I'll be switching my camera to another channel, unfortunately. Okay. It's been great to be here. Thank you for having me. I'd love to stay and argue with Rick Berman some more and see what vagaries and lack of specific complaints he has next for us, but I've got to run.
All right. Thank you so much, Mage.
Y'all have a great day.
Thanks
for having me.
See you later. Bye-bye. Okay. Right. I like the picture you created.
I know. I cannot take credit. I did not create it. I came across it on the internet, and I had to snatch it up. I was like, that's just too good to pass up. Oh boy.
Yeah, but you're the one making the issue of it, Rick B. I mean, you're making issues over people's race and stuff. That they exist. These people all exist in our world today, dude. And it's not ticking a box. It's just representing the world we live today. I mean, would you want Starfleet just to be all white men, with the odd blonde walking around in a miniskirt? That is not a representation of our world, is it? It's just far from it.
Sounds like my house on the weekend. Oh, wait, no.
I don't get it,
Oh, I don't either.
You probably are younger than us all, which is why you're coming up with these ideas. This thought process to a degree, maybe. I don't know. I mean, maybe you might look like younger than us, but you might be older than us. Who knows? And Greeks were happy to have a character with a Greek name, Michelle Yeoh. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
All right. Zam, what else do we want to talk about on this stream since we've been talking?
Well, it would be nice that, regarding Discovery, it would be nice that we get these. Just because the show ends doesn't mean that these characters have to disappear from our screens. Saru is a fan favorite without a doubt.
Oh, absolutely. I would love.
He is the Spock of this generation of Star Trek, without a doubt. Even though we do have a Spock in this generation of Star Trek in Strange New Worlds, but you know what I mean. In Disco, and it would have been nice to flesh out some of the other characters, because I've already forgotten their names. And it's a shame, really, that they haven't been fleshed out enough. Yeah.
I mean, it would be, as I said, it would kind of be nice to do maybe like an anthology type thing. I've always thought a great show, and
A movie,
maybe in the 32nd century, but a great show would be Federation One, which is a show centered around the president and about all of the political stuff. I mean, not really necessarily like a House of Cards type scenario. It wouldn't be like shady, but it would be like the political. Like we never like Discovery gave us some of the most diplomatic Star Trek we've seen in a long time. Like we never see the Federation Council in the older Trek. We never see any of the diplomacy like within the Federation. Like we only see like the instances that Picard and Kirk come by and all and so
something like that would have to be serialized. I actually thought just now that maybe just they could do a Discovery movie, maybe do a series of films, set in that time period.
I don't know if it's earned it. I really don't.
I wouldn't throw it out straight away, but give it a few years, maybe. Burnham's just a bit older now and all of that, but yeah, if you broke down predictions for Trek era tech and demographics, exactly. I mean, you look at TOS for a start. You've got Captain Kirk and you got DeForest Kelly as the two American dudes, the only American ones. Well, you got Sulu as well. He's American, but he's Japanese American. Scotty is Scottish. Uhura is Russian. Chekhov is Russian, and Uhura is from a part of Africa. I mean, I forgot what part of Africa she's from exactly, but that's what she's representing. And then you got TNG, Picard's French. And you got a lot of Americans, I have to admit, in that one. But
well, and even Worf. Even in fantasy representation, like literally the only alien walking around on TOS was Spock. Like think about it. Like there was really only Spock. He was one Vulcan on the ship. I don't think we saw very many other crew members that were any other races.
He was a mixed race alien.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he you talk about all ticking the boxes. I mean, there's one right there. So and you got another mixed race alien in Torres as well in Voyager. So I mean, they've done it all. It would have been nice maybe to see some more Indians in fucking Star Trek. But
I mean, we did in 2009. The original captain of the Kelvin wasn't he?
I can't fucking remember. All I remember is fucking 4.
He's the guy who played the leader of the 10 Rings in Iron Man 1.
I remember the actor. Yeah. I remember.
Is he? I think he's of Indian descent. I think.
He is.
I mean, I don't want to sit here and put my put in my mouth, but.
Yeah, exactly.
And believe it or not, I actually believe with Rick B here. I don't think a Discovery movie is earned. I really don't. I'm sorry, but as I said, it's not that I just don't think it had I don't think Discovery had its legs yet. As I said, we essentially had 2 seasons of good Discovery. I think the first 2 seasons just were kind of a wash, in my opinion. If we would have had 5 seasons after these first 2 seasons, maybe we could have talked about a movie. But
could we do like Disco's version of DS9 where it's sent around that hub, which which Discovery would go to now and again, where the admiral of Starfleet.
You talk about just like the Starfleet headquarters.
Yeah, in space though, wasn't it? With the guy from the
Starfleet
Mummy.
headquarters in Discovery was in space now. Like Starfleet headquarters moved from Earth, and it went to like it became that space station. But that was Starfleet headquarters.
I wouldn't mind that. I just want to stay in this time period. But like Starfleet Academy doesn't necessarily. A lot of people are really excited about that. I would treat Starfleet Academy the same way I would treat Lower Decks and Prodigy. Not saying make it animated, but make it short 25-minute, 30-minute episodes. I can't really, I don't want it to be like fucking Harry Potter or something like that, where we've got some super student or some shit like that. No. I don't want anything of those lines. And I would maybe spread it out regarding all these different tales happening around Starfleet Academy instead of with the same fuckers all the time. You know what I mean? Maybe sometimes with the teachers, sometimes with the students.
And there was a game back in the 90s called Starfleet Academy. Played on my channel, Milquetoast Gaming. Shameless self-plug. But I played all the way through it. And actually, besides there being terrible actors in that game, it was actually really good. Like if you sit down and just watch the cutscenes of that game, it's actually decent. Like I liked it. I went back and I played it a couple months ago for my gaming channel, and it reaffirmed my idea that I want a Starfleet Academy show. Just the way that it went. It took place in Kirk's era, and Sulu and Kirk were in the game. Like it's not like animated; they were actually live actors in there. But it just kind of reaffirmed the fact that, as I said, besides the terrible acting, it's actually a good idea and it can work.
I'm off to watch Succession. Nice talking to you, Kurtzman sucks. Yeah, well, you know what, Rick B, before you jet off, make sure you like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, because without doubt for you, mate, it is the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. And we'll see you for our next topic on Star Trek, which will be Picard, season 3, episode 4 next week. So join us for that, my son, and give me everything you got. As well as join us for you. You might be a fan of other stuff too, so you can join us for last.
Oh yeah, we got tons of stuff on the channel.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I don't know. I mean, I would say anyone who's watching this and has heard us talking about Starfleet Academy and they're kind of on the fence, go to YouTube, go to Starfleet Academy, the game movie, or what, or all cut scenes or whatever you can put in there, and watch that. And as I said, I forewarning you, the acting is terrible, but the premise is not bad, and the way they go about it is not bad. Plus, you can have Tilly in it. You can have the Admiral guy in it again, because he would obviously visit Starfleet Academy because he's at Starfleet headquarters, and Starfleet Academy and headquarters are right there, I believe. And you just, we need to explore this 32nd century a little bit more. They need to commit to it, and not, as I said, I get it. Like, Post Nemesis is good. We've got Prodigy, we've got Lower Decks, we've got Picard and Post Nemesis, but you've taken us to this 32nd century. Let's do it. Like, let's grow. Let's do what TNG did for TOS.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we should leave it at that, mate. It's been it's been a fun ride talking about this.
I know Rick Berman's gone. I mean, what else is there to talk about,
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I do feel like we are coming to an end. And maybe, are we coming to an end of an era, or is this just the end of a particular show?
End of a particular show. I mean, Picard, technically, Discovery's not even the last show of New Trek to say that it's their last season. Picard has already said that, so it's not even the first show to end in this era.
Yeah, but Picard always felt like it was going to be a short haul thing. Like Patrick Stewart being in his 80s and stuff like that. It was never going to last very long.
Yeah, but, and you're right, but I would say it's not a new era just yet. I mean, I would say if they start cutting all the shows, I still think we're going to get more Strange New Worlds. I still think we're going to get more Lower Decks. I still think we're going to get more Prodigy. I still think they're going to move forward with some of these other projects they've been talking about. But now with Discovery's ended, they can kind of reconstitute some of that budget to these other shows. I'm pretty sure that this is a budgetary thing, because probably they can with Discovery gone, they can probably focus more on 2 new shows with the budget they were putting into Discovery. Which, as I said, Discovery Star Trek the current Star Trek is so beautiful. Gone are the days of the makes and models. As I said, there's something to be loved about those old models and everything like that. But it's like you have recycled footage and all this other stuff from like DS9, Voyager. Gone are the days of that. Like almost every shot we get now in a Star Trek show is an original shot. It is not a brand. It is not a recycled footage like Voyager, DS9, Enterprise. Even Enterprise didn't have a lot of recycled footage, but TNG, Voyager, even TOS use tons of recycled footage. They don't do that anymore.
Did you see that video on What Culture Star Trek? And they
Trek culture.
Yeah, Trek culture. Oh my god, the amount of the reused footage is unbelievable. So
and it's true. I mean, they do. So it's expensive. I mean, and honestly, Starfleet Academy could probably be a bit more of a planet side based show. So you wouldn't have to have those big glory shots all the time of starships, and you'd want those, but you can also have it would be a little bit less of that. It wouldn't be like, Strange New Worlds levels where it's like you're always looking at the outside of the ship. You're always trying to do, it'd be a little bit more planet based. You could do things. You can do different sets. You can do like, practical sets, not like, CGI and everything like that.
Well, do you know when this goes coming out? I mean, it must come out early 2024 at this rate.
I think it's coming out later on this year. I think, and the only reason why
it's in 2024 in the marketing.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. So my money is on January 2024.
Probably. So my only thing about that is that I know they're doing reshoots to finish off. Like originally this wasn't the final season, like when they first wrote it and everything, but they said we're doing reshoots to give us a satisfying conclusion to Discovery. So they are definitely doing like reshoots and stuff like that to kind of wrap everything up in a nice tidy bow. Maybe tease us with some of these spin-offs and stuff like that. We'll see some stuff. You never know.
Yeah, because what I'm hoping for is that at some point we get confirmation of a new Star Trek show. Prior to Discovery.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I would only be worried if Picard goes to the wayside and Discovery ends, and we still have not heard an announcement of a show. If Star Trek Day goes by, and like First Contact Day goes by in April, like not this upcoming April, but maybe like next year, like Star Trek Day in September, and then next April, if we still don't hear of any new shows, then I would be worried, because as I said, they really should be reallocating that money from Discovery to something else. And I think that may be what they're doing. They've hinted that in the past, that they are looking at additional and new projects. So as I said, hopefully that's
yeah. Well, the Section 31 show has been rumored for years now. So let's get this show on the fucking road, I say.
Mm-hmm. Well, and as I said, maybe it was just a budgetary thing they couldn't do it. But keep in mind, Michelle Yeoh's exploded with acting recently. Like, she's been in a bunch of awesome.
Yeah, she's a hot commodity right now, but she's also she's not new to the game. Like anybody who knows Michelle Yeoh has seen her in everything and anything for the last 30 something years. So yeah. Obviously she's Oscar nominated right now, but being involved in Star Trek. Oh, and by the way, this is something I really forgot to mention. I was hoping to mention this while Major Rage was here. Jonathan Frakes, I really want him to get involved in Star Wars. I would love for him to direct a Star Wars movie. I think he would be absolutely ideal for it. I don't know what you think.
I think Jonathan Frakes would be. He gave us First Contact. He gave us Insurrection. He's given us multiple phenomenal episodes of Star Trek. Even if they brought him in for like Mandalorian or Andor season 2, I feel like that. And I think Andor season 2 has actually already been filmed.
I would love for him to be involved in Mandalorian. I would love and Andor. I think he would do a phenomenal job for both shows.
I don't know about a movie. He's done good of both. Like he's done good movies and good episodes. I'd like for him to start in the episodes though. As I said, I think Mandalorian, you're right, is probably the best place for him to start because there's enough wiggle, like, not that he can't direct a like very serious show, but he can definitely like give it a different spin on the nostalgia. You know what I mean? The establishment. But I would love it if they brought Jonathan Frakes in. I think that would be amazing for him and for Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure. I think he would be, considering how good he is at the sci-fi genre, and he's been involved in other sci-fi outside of Star Trek. So yeah, I think he would be absolutely ideal. So let's hope that somebody makes it so. And then with that, let's end this stream, shall we? So, to everyone out there in YouTube land, we have got more Star Trek, more fan film reactions. Some of them being Star Trek as well. So keep an eye out for that, as well as our usual reviews that will be coming out within the next few days of the Bad Batch. Oh, sorry, I haven't even done the most recent one. I do apologize for that, but I'll try and get onto that when I can. But Last of Us, Quantum Leap, Mandalorian, and of course Picard season 3. So join us on YouTube for that, as well as any other new shows that we decide to review about when they come out. So make sure you always subscribe to us, because without that, we are the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Anything more to say then, Cheeto, before we sign off?
Nope, I think we're good to go. So everybody, we'll catch you in the next one. Catch you later.